Hello, hello. I see we got some people joining us. Super excited to have you all here today. We're going to get started in just a minute. We got some folks rolling in, but really excited to have you all here today. And note that there is a chat available, so feel free to use it as you see fit. While we're waiting for folks to join us, feel free if you want to share where you are joining from and how long you've been coaching. If you feel bold enough to share in the chat where you're joining from and how long you've been coaching, we'll get started in just a minute here. I see we got some good amount of attendees coming in. And again, there is a chat. There's also a Q&A. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But if you'd like in the webinar chat, feel free to drop where you are from and how long you've been coaching. Oh, awesome. New York City. Nice. Love that. Okay, since 22, got about 5 years. That's great to see. Nice. All right, we got a few more folks joining us here today. Super excited to talk to you all. We'll get started, but while we're waiting, feel free to drop in the chat where you're from and how long you've been coaching. And we're going to get started here because we know all of your time is valuable. We got to get you back out and coaching with folks. So we're planning for this to take just about 30 minutes here. Welcome to Coaching with a Purpose, Earn Hours While Giving Back. We are two of the board members of Women with Potential. We actually got a couple other members on the call, so you might see them pop up in the chat too. So feel free to say hello. And yes, we have people sharing where they're from and how long they've been coaching in the chat if you're just joining. But let's start with some introductions and then we'll go into our agenda. So my name's Kayla Lopez. I'm board president of Women with Potential. I'm also head of people for a national financial services firm. And it has been quite an adventure joining, or I should say joining forces with some pretty powerful women to start Women with Potential. We're going to talk a little bit about who we are later in this presentation, but I'm going to turn it over first to Anna to introduce herself, who's joining me on the call here as well.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your interest today. My name is Anna Ludeking. I'm a coach myself. I'm the Director of Leadership Programs at Women with Potential, and I hold my PCC credential with the ICF. I'm an executive and leadership coach, group coach, and team coach. And so I'm really excited to help shepherd some of the coaching programs that Kayla and I are going to share today. Can't wait to connect with you all and give you the skinny on this incredible opportunity.
Nice. Yes, super excited. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. And first up, we have our agenda. So we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, the program structure, the support that we as Women with Potential provide, along with the topic that I know is on everyone's mind, which is the pro bono and barter for pay options, as well as next steps in Q&A. Now, with Q&A, I don't want you to have to try and remember all of your questions or try to scribble them down. Feel free to use the Q&A feature in Zoom. So if you haven't used it before, it's at the bottom of the screen. Some people have the top of the screen or the side, depending how your Zoom's configured. But utilize that Q&A. We're going to answer questions as we go, but any questions we don't answer, by the end of the session, we're going to spend some time answering. So feel free to drop them in there. Even if you know, hey, this might be covered, drop it in there because you never know. Maybe it's not in the presentation or we haven't thought of it. So make sure to get you some answers there. But super excited to get started. And we're going to start first with who we are. So we are Women with Potential. We're a US-based 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we are on a mission to make career development accessible to every woman. And I want to talk a little bit about how we got started and why that matters to us so much. So in 2023, I assembled a group of women that I have very high regard for and had a couple crazy ideas on how to give back to women in our community. And they said, "Ooh, are those really actually going to work?" Which is the beauty of having great friends that are honest with you. And together we decided to go out and ask women about their career journeys and what we can do to actually help them in a sustainable way and in a very tactical way, to be honest. And so we talked with women all over the country and all different backgrounds, all different career levels, all of these different things, and really ended up finding that women from all different types of careers and all different backgrounds had very similar journeys and very similar hurdles. And really what we found was once women start to get into their first leadership role or mid-level role or senior role, or really start taking on more responsibility, there's a steep drop off in support. And so essentially, the very attributes that got them to become promoted to a leader or to take on a major project aren't necessarily the only ones that are needed to be successful. And so what people would do is they would say, okay, you have your first major project, and they kind of leave them and be like, figure it out, you'll be great, cheering you on from the sidelines and kind of send them on their way. And what we found is that time period is also one of the greatest predictors of success if they're going to be able to ascend in their career. And so we're trying to address that gap as best as we can with several different programs, one of which is our coaching program. So that's why we're all here today. And there's a lot of assumptions made that workplaces are handling career development. And I'm sure many of you know that's just not true. Some workplaces are stellar at it. Some you'd be lucky if you get a training manual on your first day. And we have all different types of clients. So we have clients from different backgrounds, different career types, different levels. We have folks in the trades and healthcare and journalism, folks with corporate careers, and our clients are dealing with all different types of situations. So they might be in career transition, they might be first-time mothers trying to balance going back to work and career. They could be first-time leaders, or maybe they're seasoned leaders that are now approaching new challenges in the workplace. And so there's a lot of different things that we may be encountering or that women may be encountering. And sometimes coaching can help with that, as many of you know. So a lot of different folks that you'll see come across our desk, I should say. Now, because of that, you don't necessarily need to be a career coach. Leadership coach, as Anna had mentioned, sometimes team coaching also helps. We also have folks that are in career transition or life transition. And although a lot of our programs center around job and career, there's a lot of things that kind of are at the intersection of that. Like, for example, first-time mothers, they're balancing some external factors that have to deal with their career as well. So a lot of different people out there that we're trying to serve. Now, because of that, and because we're trying to scale multiple programs, because we're a little bit crazy, we also wanted to make sure that we put out some clear requirements of what we're looking for. So let's see here. And I think this one is over to you for our ICF requirements.
Yeah, so the types of coaches that we're looking for, as Kayla mentioned, are a broad range. Really, anybody who can support a coaching relationship, and we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like for this program. We're looking for ACC, PCC, and MCC credentialed coaches, and Kayla's going to talk a little bit about why we're leaning on the ICF in terms of this framework and making that a requirement. But there are options. You don't have to be credentialed. You could be on your way. And so for these folks, what we're looking for you to have completed is 50 hours of your program training through a program that's accredited by the ICF, and that you've had 2 years of professional work experience. Now, our definition for that is very broad. So we're just thinking in a professional realm, having been in the workplace for 2 years so that you can identify with the challenges that some of these women or people who identify as women are facing, and that you've coached 50 hours so and with 5 clients, so you've had a couple coaching relationships under your belt. So that's really who we're looking for. And Kayla, back over to you around why again we're leaning on the ICF as kind of our credential and what we're hoping people are trained in and have experience with.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Anna. And there's really, several different reasons why. But again, we're trying to scale and expand our program to as many women as we can. And the ICF has certain, as many of you know, ethics and standards that really help us have some assurance that our clients are getting a good experience. So when we know that folks are trained to the ICF Code of Ethics, we know that our clients are going to experience something that is centered around them, that isn't necessarily giving them advice or telling them what to do, but really guides the conversation for them to realize the answers that they can come up with or the potential that they have within themselves. There are a lot of folks that can be self-proclaimed coaches, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that we're not necessarily looking for our program. And again, partnering with coaches that have gone through the training from the ICF or ICF accredited programs, that allows us to have some sort of assurance that there's a consistent experience. So that's why we chose that. It's not to say that other coaches are not great or able to add some sort of value, just not necessarily in this context for our program at this point. So let's talk a little bit about those very clients and what the coaching relationship might look like. At any given point, there's going to be 3 contracts and 3 relationships at play. So that's our relationship with you as the coach, our relationship with the client who may be participating in this program along with other programs that we have, and then of course a contract between you and the client. So we do offer a lot of different areas of support, as you'll find later in this presentation. But we also offer templated language for that portion where you usually put your fees in with the client. We can help you with that too, with regard to your contract. But we do expect that the coaches also extend a contract to the client to get you both on the same page of what's expected in the coaching engagement. And really just another mechanism to protect yourself as a coach. Now, we do partner you for a 6-month engagement with the coaching or with the client. So I do want to turn it over to Anna, back to you to talk about what that engagement actually looks like.
So it's a 6-month engagement, as Kayla mentioned, and we're looking at bi-weekly coaching sessions. So 2 per month, 60 minutes typically. And we start with the kickoff meeting to really focus in on goals. And Kayla's going to share with us in a second. There's some great templates that we have to provide that are optional that y'all can use to support some of the kickoff and final report out meetings. And then a midpoint check-in, which is something we recommend, but it's optional somewhere midway through the relationship at month 6. So this is the basic framework of the support we're looking for in terms of coaches and matching with our clients for 6 months.
Nice. And as Anna mentioned, there is multiple layers of support that we offer. So the first major thing is we handle a lot of the initial vetting. So not only of our coaches who go through an application process, our clients go through a fairly rigorous application process as well. They are applying for this as if they are applying for a scholarship or a university admission. So they have to put a lot of thought into what they're actually trying to accomplish, and they actually submit a personal summary, which we then share with the coaches as well. So we do equip you with all of the information we know about the client that they are willing to share. And then we also handle the matching and introductions. And I'll talk more about matching in just a moment, but we're also here to support if any issues arise. And we'll talk about a couple things around that as we continue through the presentation. But a lot of questions that we'll get when we initially are talking with coaches one-on-one is, what if it's not a match? And that's a very valid question. But we want to ensure that this program is both beneficial for coaches and clients. One, as a coach, you're dedicating your time to helping women succeed, and we really do appreciate that. And also, some of our coaches, many of them are also the population that we serve. They're women in career transition, or they're women throughout their coaching career, really developing their practice. And so we want to make sure that this is a good experience for everyone. And so if at any time there's an issue or a mismatch, either party can raise their hand and we'll help tackle and address any of the issues directly with the other party. Now, with that, we do a lot for matching to make sure that it's going to be a good fit, and we prioritize it in a couple different ways. So the first thing that we look at is time zone and availability. Because one of the major hurdles for women to have accessibility to career development resources is time, we want to make sure first that the coach and the client have schedules that make sense and that align. The next thing that we'll look at is the coach's specialization, if they have one. That's not necessarily a requirement because, of course, ICF has certain standards that apply to all different situations. But for example, if we just so happen to have 2 coaches and 2 clients, and one coach and one client, there's a career transition match, and the other one there's a leadership match, we'll try and match those together if we can. And then the last thing we look at is if there's anything that the client indicates as a major flag for something that's very specific to them. So for example, if you look at someone who may be struggling in their current role, but is also really experiencing a lot of microaggressions related to race or orientation, we're going to try to find a coach that's able to navigate that as well, because it is a totally different experience, maybe someone who doesn't have that. Now, that's not to say that you may not be matched with someone who's also struggling with that. It just is a matter of if that's a major focus on their application. So definitely a lot of things that we try to do to make sure it's the right fit, just from availability and specialty perspective. But we do know from time to time, there's just going to be situations where things don't vibe. So either party is able to raise their hand and kind of say, okay, maybe it's not a fit. Let's see if we can rematch to someone else. So as Anna mentioned as well, we also do offer templates. These are not required. They're just a resource for you. We do have goal setting templates and presentation templates that you can use as well. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, you've gotten approved or you want to pursue. What is the barter for payment? What does that mean? And how does it relate to my coaching hours, especially for those pursuing ICF credentialing? So because we are a 501c3 nonprofit, there's a few things we can do here. The first is we can offer a donation receipt that you can use for write-off on your taxes as a donation of your services to us. Now, how much and what that looks like, we'll write the receipt, and what you can claim is up to you or between you and the IRS. And that's something that you can look up online as well. But that doesn't necessarily count as paid hours in the eyes of the ICF. However, we did reach out to the ICF specifically about this next part, which is, and I should say their statement is, if the coach does not receive any payment or something of monetary value, it cannot be claimed as paid coaching. However, if you were to give them something of monetary value, not necessarily money, then it would be considered paid. And so that's why we call it barter for payment, similar to the ICF. So as a result of you conducting an engagement with us and with the client, we will then send you essentially in exchange for your services a swag box at the end of the coaching engagement. And so there's definitely monetary value there. So you are able to count it as paid hours. And so you could log all 12 of those hours as paid because we send it to you at the end of the engagement. But that's essentially where the ICF came back to us and said, yes, this is absolutely allowed, but just how we do it, we just want to make sure that we document that. So we do provide you, like I said, with the receipt, and then we'll also provide you, with any shipping notice and anything like that of your barter for payment as well. So that is a little bit about how that works and what we're able to do here. And the next steps is really all that's left, which is you would essentially apply for the program. Of course, you'll need to review the guidelines once your application is approved. They will also extend you a contract to sign, which you'll be able to see. And then once you sign that contract, the only thing left to do is to match you. And then at that point, you'll extend your contract to the client that you're matched with and begin coaching. And so that's pretty simple, I would say, as simple as that, I should say. But that's what next steps really look like. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to put a QR code. I'm going to drop in the chat the link for the application while we take a look at some of these questions. And I'm going to turn over to Anna to go through some of the questions that maybe we haven't answered just yet.
Yeah, and happy to revisit the ones that we have just to make sure that we're clear here. One question is, do I need to be a career coach in order to coach in this program? Nope, nope. We are open to different types of coaches, as Kayla mentioned. Another one, Kayla, I might turn this one over to you. Do you have a suggested contract that coaches would be best served by, since this is a pro bono that you can share with us? And there's some basic contracts on the ICF website. Kayla, any other thoughts there on that question?
I would say definitely the basic contracts on the ICF website, if you have that. We do have some templated language specifically for like the pro bono payment, but realistically, whatever contract you utilize for paid services should be similar for pro bono. We uphold our clients to the same standards that we would whether they're pro bono or paid, because again, it's a donation of your time and your services, even if it may not be a monetary exchange. It's a donation of your time, and so we expect the same level of commitment from each of those clients. So that's what I would say for that.
Great. Will the recording of this webinar be available so you can revisit? Yep. Kayla, any details there of how they get access?
Yeah, it's a great question. Yes. So we're actually going to email this out. It's also going to be listed on the landing page on our website. So at some point this week, we're going to email out this recording to all of you so you'll be able to review it as many times as you need.
Nice. We've got one curious person asking, what's in the swag box? Kayla, what are some of your thoughts there?
Yes, that's a great question. So, this is a fun fact about Women with Potential. We're trying to be very creative about how we raise funds. And so we actually are opening a store where people can buy different apparel and swag, cups, hats, all different types of things from illustrators that we're partnering with. And so likely in the swag box is going to be a mix of those types of things. So whenever you do actually do an engagement, you also get different things for every engagement. Because of course, as you're getting swag or as you're doing multiple engagements, if you want all of them to be paid, we'll have to keep sending you some free stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a surprise.
Love the questions. Keep them coming in. We've got a couple more. How many people at a time can I coach? So I can take this one,
Yeah, take
Kayla,
that
you
one.
can add on there in terms of we like to get one engagement started to get that a couple of months under the belt. And then if you have availability to take more on, then we'd be happy to do that once we get past getting the first one started. So Kayla, anything to add there of how many people at a time can I coach?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer. I think really, once we feel like you feel comfortable in the program, we feel comfortable with you in the program, we can ramp that up as much as we need to. For context too, so we have clients that are actually on a wait list right now to be matched. So we have more clients than we do coaches actually. And then we have right now in the hands of about 30 or 40 clients, between 30 and 40, I don't know the exact number, waiting for them to apply to the coaching program. We've actually slowed down the applications because we have so many clients awaiting coaches. But once we open that back up again, it'll be a fairly steady stream.
Nice. Sharon asked, can we continue to coach with your company after the 6 months? What are your thoughts there, Kayla?
Absolutely. Yes. I think the 6 months is probably just the first engagement, or I should say the first few months are just the first engagement just to get you comfortable. But some people, may have multiple engagements at a time, as Anna had mentioned. But if you want to continue, maybe you have one at a time and you want to continue doing that in perpetuity as long as we have the program open, absolutely.
Excellent. And question here, the clients are women, but the coaches need not be, correct? That's right. We're open to coaches of every walk of life. So we're welcome to all. Anything to add there, Kayla?
No, they said it perfectly. Love it.
And then we've got, can you please clarify what's being bartered with whom? Are we getting paid via the swag box?
Yes. Oh, and I love that we had another person answer that. I love it. It's great. The learning and development professional in me is delighted to see that. But yes, you're getting paid via the swag box. That's the barter. We are giving you a swag box in exchange for your services.
Nice. Got another one here. Great question. Do coaches need to be based within the US or would international coaches be eligible to apply?
Yes, absolutely. International coaches are eligible. The one thing that we do want to mention, though, is again, just be conscious that we do have a US based client population at this time. We are not serving women in other countries just yet because, to be honest, we're not as familiar with the laws around nonprofits and service there. So, as we start to educate ourselves on that, we may branch out to other countries in terms of clients that we serve. But yes, coaches who want to participate and donate their services, definitely welcome them. They just have to be able to make the client time zones work, which is Eastern through Pacific in the US time zones.
Excellent. So how are we finding clients and are they getting free coaching through this program? Kayla, do you want to take that one too?
Yes, yeah, happy to. Yes, so we find clients through a variety of different ways. Some are women that we know, some we're getting the word out. We're also, we just got approved for a $10,000 per month Google Ads grant as a nonprofit. So we're going to spread the word in whatever way that we can. But we also partner or will be partnering with several different other nonprofits, essentially as a pipeline. So they're focused on more entry-level career and we'll be more mid-level career and partnering with them. So they're kind of coming from everywhere, to be honest. They're coming from LinkedIn, they're coming from our networks, they're coming from Facebook, but really just been very lucky to find women from all walks so far.
Excellent. Will there be space where we can get support during the program or periodic debriefs during our first engagement? You want to take that one, Kayla?
Yeah. Yes, at any time you could email our support email inbox, and we have several people that watch that inbox as well. So you can ask for any support there. And then we do have a couple check-ins in your first engagements. We have some surveys that go to both you and the client so we can check in and see. We also do more informal check-ins. So just yesterday I checked in with one of our coaches who recently kicked off an engagement. She's already done, the kickoff and the first session, says it's going really well. And we'll be checking in with the client later this week. So we'll do more casual check-ins and then also more formal kind of surveyed qualitative check-ins as well.
Do clients ever specify religion? Is that a piece of our intake, Kayla?
That's a great question. No, they do not. And no, it is not part of our intake right now. Um, no, I think there hasn't been anyone yet who specified religion. It's a great question, though. Something we should consider.
Yeah. And if you have more kind of thoughts or questions behind that, feel free to reach out or even throw it in the Q&A around that and what your thoughts are behind the religion question. So when are decisions made or when does the program start? So, Kayla, do you want to walk through the timeline of how that works?
Yeah, definitely. So currently, when you submit your application, there's up to a 3-week review period for us. It is again because we are a 100% volunteer-driven organization. We all have full-time jobs, so we're trying to make it work as best as we can. But up to 3 weeks for initial application review. Now, as part of the application, you'll also notice a recording. Maybe not everyone has one just yet, so we'll talk about that during the application period. But we will review a recording, or if you're already credentialed, you won't necessarily need that. And then usually once you're approved, we'll issue the contract within from when you sign the contract to being matched. If we have clients that are ready to be matched right away, you usually get matched within 1 to 2 days. If we don't have any clients, you'll just be matched as soon as one comes up from the wait list.
Nice. Yeah. And just to reiterate, during the application process, if you hold a credential with the ICF, you won't need to submit a recording. If you haven't quite made it there yet, you're not quite to ACC, we'll ask you to submit a recording. If you don't have one or it's a real difficulty to get one, please apply anyway, and we can talk about options of maybe coaching from doing a coaching demonstration with somebody on our board or on our team. So just reach out. Don't let that deter you. Do coaches use their own virtual meeting invites or do we provide a portal for the client conversations?
Great question. Uh, Coaches use their own virtual meeting invites. We want to reduce as many barriers as possible. So we leave it on the coaches and the clients to figure out what platform works best for them and timing works best for them. Obviously, we match them based on availability to some extent as well. But yes, so we do provide in our guidebook when you're first onboarding a host of free resources that you can utilize that we recommend using for those sessions as well if you don't already have a setup already.
Excellent questions. Love it. So got one. I was trained at ICF approved program, not quite ACC designation yet. Would I be eligible? Yep, we covered that one. You are eligible. Please take a look at the application, and there are some things for you to answer and potentially recording for you to submit. So please, if you're not quite to ACC yet, apply anyway. We'll keep moving then. Are there specifics around how and when to meet with the client?
Ooh, that's a great question. No, like the frequency, yes, and the length of the program, yes, but how and when, it's up to you and the client, especially, coaches trained to the ICF model and ethics. We expect that you know how to kind of navigate the best approach to setting those up. But yeah, we really try to make sure that we give you as a coach the autonomy to set that up with the client.
Amazing. Another great question here. Intake, our clients ask about whether they identify as neurodivergent.
Oh, that's a great question. Today they do not. They do have some free spaces to indicate any other things they would like us to consider. That has not come up yet, but definitely something we can consider adding to our application. It's a great question.
Yeah, and let us know again if there's kind of some thoughts or preferences behind the question there. We can talk further about anything that you specialize in or who you're looking to support. All right, last question for now. Feel free to, we have 1 minute, so we'll answer this and anything else that comes in over the next minute. What did you say about submitting a recording as part of the application process? Yeah, so if you haven't made it to your ACC credential yet as a coach, but you have the requirements around education, professional experience, and client hours, then you can still apply. There's a piece that's asking for a recording so that we can sample some of your work. So we really recommend that you have a recording. If that's a real barrier to you, we'll say please apply and we'll figure out a way for you to demo. So just wanted to repeat that one as well. And then is there an expectation on length of the session? I can handle that one. The guideline is 60 minutes, but we're also providing a buffer of 45 to 60 minutes. We know life happens, people need transition time, so we're aiming for 60, but 45 is the minimum length for each session. All right, we are at time. Kayla, how do you want to wrap us up?
Nice. Well, I did put our ICF requirements up here for anyone who may have missed it, as well as we end and wrap up for today. But first and foremost, I want to thank you all for your time, for even watching this webinar and participating in the discussion. We understand that this program might not be for everyone, so we definitely want coaches who are committed to it. But if you do have additional questions, we're going to give you in the recording when we send that out. There'll also be a link to ask us questions as well. And then again, there'll be a link to the application if you want to get started. I also dropped a couple links in the chat. And then of course we have the QR code that's at the end of the presentation if you want to leverage that. But again, thank you so much for joining us. And Anna, thank you so much for co-hosting with me today. We're looking forward to all the coaches that decide to work with us today.
Yep, can't wait to meet you all as we get through the application process. If you have more questions, keep reaching out. That's it for now, and look for the recording, and we hope to hear from you all soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.